You mentioned in response to a large number of people saying Donald Trump is the worst president ever, often referred to as Trump derangement syndrome. Uh, you talk about how something like Madeleine Albright's justification of 500,000 dead Iraqi civilians after the Gulf War, something like 200,000 dead Filipinos during the American-Philippine War. How were such state atrocities able to go on without people getting totally upset and them having some Nuremberg trials in America?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, again, uh, part of this thing where Trump is the worst person ever. The reason people say that is not because they genuinely believe it. If they thought about it, they wouldn't really think that. It's because we get this sort of moral ramping up behavior. So let's say like I have an incentive to prove to you that I'm like really virtuous so that I have like higher status. So that might mean something like you point out a flaw and you go, well, that's the thing that's going on here. It's sexist. And I'm like, it's not only sexist, it's racist and classist. And you're like, you're right. Not only is it racist and classist and sexist, but it's like the worst thing ever. It's like you're trying to prove to others that you might call it like a moral princess. You know the story, The Princess and the Pea.
Mm-hmm.
So this is I'm not being. That's just how the story goes. It's like this prince wants to find the true princess, and a true princess is someone who's so sensitive that she can feel a pea under 40 layers of mattress. Like that's how sensitive she is. We do this kind of moral thing where it's like, I am so sensitive to morality that I can detect even the slightest error. And I can note that it's like really, really bad. Like you think it's only kind of bad. Well, I think it's super duper bad, which means if I think that, I must be morally better than you. So I must have higher status and you should defer to me and like me and give me props and think highly of me. So I think we're engaged in this kind of moral game where we self-aggrandize and become self-righteous for the purpose of elevating our status. Most use of moral language in political discourse is bullshit, right? So when you see a person making a moral argument, you should interpret them as self-aggrandizing. It's rare for them to be sincere. So that said, like, why do people ignore all this other stuff? I mean, they're ignorant of it. They have no idea that it happened. It's not very interesting to them. We're tribalistic, so American atrocities aren't as bad as other atrocities, unless you're one of the people who, for your group, is important to be anti-American, in which case atrocities done by others don't matter, but American atrocities do matter. It's like the kind of thing where you ask people, okay, so you've heard of the Holocaust. Have you heard of the Holodomor? And they're like, no, what's that? It's like, oh, that's when Stalin starved all of Ukraine. Killed more people than the Holocaust. Like, I haven't heard of that. And it's true, they just haven't been taught it. So I think there's a combination of all these things going on. Rational ignorance plus the fact that people's political beliefs are not for describing the world, they're for forming coalitions. And the result that you get at the end is just this moral inconsistency that's quite repugnant.
Well, that picture of Winston Churchill, FDR, and Stalin would look a lot worse if people knew about the Holodomor